Hey everybody, it is Thursday around 1:20, getting started a little later. We're excited to have everybody. My name is Crystal. I'm with TLC Lending Concepts, loan officer. My NMLS number is 1859749. Wanted to introduce our VIP guests. I'm excited for you guys to learn what's happening with Mark. Some news is stirring. Newsletter should be out here soon, so I know it's kind of short notice, but we've got Mark here to hopefully share the good news today with us. So I want to introduce, we have Leandra Williams with Remax Alliance. We have Kayla McDonald with Remax Alliance, Heather Anderson with Dalton Wade, and Miss Leslie Neal with Coldwell Banker. And then, of course, our main guest is Mark from Florida Housing Finance Corporation. He's one of the Homebuyer Loan Program Development Managers. So we will have you share all the amazing information coming. So kind of what brought me to doing this today was I got a call from Heather. We have a borrower that we were working with, Hometown Heroes. The funds we knew that we were going to have to secure really quickly on October 31st, which we did. Our team was ready to go and everybody is super awesome. Our ops team is really awesome at TLC Lending Concepts. And she had called me because she had seen some sort of video or another member on her social media share some information. And I said, well, I'm not really sure. Let's call Mark. So I always tell anybody that's calling me, because I do get a lot of calls from realtors. Hey, is this true? Hey, I haven't received anything from you. And I'm always going to try to get some sort of information, some sort of reference to give you. And of course, with this information, I hadn't received anything. So I called Mark. So if you want to share a little bit about maybe your background, Mark, and take it away.
Sure. And Crystal, thanks for inviting me. And good afternoon. Afternoon. I had to double check the time. It's been a long week. So my name is Mark Pease. I am the business development manager for Florida Housing Finance Corporation. I'm a strange bird. For 11 years, I served as a state certified appraiser in the Orlando area. For 7 of those years, I was a real estate broker. And then for 19 years, assistant vice president of home loans or mortgage manager at a couple credit unions, including the Walt Disney World Credit Union. So out of the 365 of real estate, I've done 345, but I've been doing this long enough that I used to have to do flood determinations using a map and a ruler. Doc stamps were actually stamps that you lick the back of the stamp and put it in the back of the note. They were the most god-awful tasting thing in the world. So I'm an old bird, but anyway, the statement being here at Florida Housing, indeed, Crystal, I was glad that she reached out because, we have $36 million in new funding coming out. Probably the most important thing that I can tell you guys, honestly, at Florida Housing, we get paid to answer questions. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. So if you have a question, call. The number of times in which we've heard rumors about what is and what's not going on is kind of funny. And then to hear the rumors has been interesting as well. So the conversation basically kind of went, if you guys have been paying attention to Hometown Heroes, which I'm sure most of you have, is, back in 22, the state of Florida gave us $100 million out of the budget. And so that's what started Hometown Heroes 1.0, for lack of a better word. And then the state legislature passed SB 102, which was the Live Local Act, which made Hometown Heroes part of the state of Florida's really policy, just like you have the SHIP funds, the State Housing Initiative Program. That's what SHIP stands for. We now have the Hometown Heroes. they did give us $100 million again on July 1st. So Hometown Heroes 1.0, that's where the bar had to work for one of those 104 eligible occupations, or be a veteran or active military or a spouse of a deceased veteran, and they got in. That $100 million, it took us a year and 7 days for those funds to be fully committed. Well, Hometown Heroes 2.0 was a little bit different. The state legislature, not Florida House, and opened up the eligible buyers to anybody who worked for a Florida-based employer. Now, that's kind of a question. What is a Florida-based employer? It's kind of easy. Number one, they work out of an office, out of a brick and mortar location in Florida. So, for example, Apple is not based in Florida, right? But they have retail offices in Florida. So, if your buyer works out of that retail office in Florida, they would be eligible. I have a buyer who works remotely, and the company they work for is in Massachusetts, but that company does not have any brick and mortar offices in Florida. That buyer is not eligible. I have another buyer that works remotely in Tampa, but their company's headquarters in Jacksonville. So they have a brick and mortar office in Florida. That buyer would be qualified to go ahead and do so. So when Hometown Heroes 2.0 rolled out, there was $100 million provided. And ladies and gentlemen, those funds were fully committed in 53 days. 53 days.
Wow.
And so, that was, I actually, when I was doing the real estate training classes before the funds rolled out, I'm like, oh, it'll be gone by, Thanksgiving. No, it was gone in 53 days. So, thanks to all of you on both programs, 1.0 and 2.0, thanks to all of you. So the Florida House and Finance Corporation, our board of directors, does a great job. They meet about every 6 weeks. And back in September, the question was asked, hey, do we have any additional funds here at Florida House and that can be rolled into the Hometown Heroes program? They identified the $36 million. I almost said billion, but it's $36 million into the program. Those funds will be available on Monday. The big rigmarole was that the board of directors meeting was on Friday. People saw the board meeting because it's a live video, and they approved the $36 million. And immediately before the day was over with, the calls started coming in. Oh, we heard $36 million is available. When can we start reserving the funds? And just to let you know, when those things are announced, on the back end, we have things that we have to do here to set up and prepare. For example, we have to get involved with our hedgers, our servicers, loan type of loans have to be given a certain codes in the systems and computer work and so forth. So yes, it was going to be rolled out quickly. And I told one loan officer, I guarantee the money will be out and the money will be gone before you put that Thanksgiving turkey in your mouth. So ladies and gentlemen, $36 million. We were reserving $2 million a day. So these funds should go in about 18 days. That is Thanksgiving. So my prediction, hopefully, could be correct. Now, let me add to this. So one of the part of the conversations was, well, Florida House has this $36 million on Friday, but they're only dishing out a portion of that money. So let me correct that myth. So when all 100 million of Hometown Heroes 2.0 was fully reserved on August 22nd, we advised all the lenders, look, in any single transaction that you have going on, you're going to have a fallout. You're going to have a low appraisal. You're going to have a buyer who finally turns in their pay stubs or tax returns, and all of a sudden they said they make $60,000, but they don't. They now make $55,000, and unless the seller's willing to come $5,000 off the sale price, yeah, right, that loan's going to fall out. So after the 100 million was reserved on August 22nd, we had loans that were getting canceled because of a natural fallout. Matter of fact, 22% of all reservations fall out. So as those funds started falling out, we created what we call a fallout fund date, and that started on September 5th. So September 5th, September 19th, October 3rd, October 17th, and even this past week on Halloween, October 31st, we made those fallout funds available. So on this past Tuesday, a couple days ago, we had $2.8 million and 162 loans were able to get locked in. Now, we're not going to have another fallout date anytime soon because now we have $36 million. So let's just pretend that all $36 million is completely reserved by Thanksgiving. Well, coming shortly thereafter, loans are going to start falling out. Cannot confirm this is exactly what we're going to do, but we were successful with the fallout dates already. So I suspect sometime 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks after Thanksgiving, we will start the Fallout Tuesdays, Fallout Fun Day and Tuesdays going forward. So it is possible that your buyer misses out on these next 18 days and you have a buyer. You just reach out to our approved loan officers and say, hey, we know that loans are going to fall out. We know Florida Housing has these fallout fund dates. Do you know what dates they are? And obviously coordinate your contract to be signed and get ready to go on that Tuesday. All right. And so all loans, the loan officer must have a fully executed contract for purchase. Haven't been a real estate broker. If any of you are holding on to your fully executed contract for purchases, let's say you got one Sunday. Today's Thursday. If you have that contract for purchase and you have not turned that over to your loan officer, ladies and gentlemen, that loan officer cannot lock in the rate. You've seen how crazy the rates have been really for the last year and a half. You're doing your buyer a disservice by not turning those contracts immediately over to the loan officer so they can contact the buyer, say you want to lock in the rate or not. And we've seen swings of interest rates from an eighth to 3.75%. And for some of those buyers, that's the difference between approval and denial. And so again, as a former mortgage manager for 19 years and as a real estate broker for 7, if it's fully executed, the next email going out is going to be to your loan officers to get those contracts over to them. Just to give you some statistics really quickly here, Hometown Heroes 1.0, we helped 6,720 families purchase a home. That was $2 billion in first mortgages. Of course, the $100 million down payment assistance. The average DPA was $14,880.95. Now, Hometown Heroes 2.0 was a change. What changed was we went from those 104 eligible occupations, plus the veterans, the active military, and the spouse of deceased veterans, to, as I mentioned earlier, anybody who works for a Florida-based employer. So you need to think of 2 baskets, okay? Basket A, is my buyer a veteran, an active military, or spouse of a deceased veteran? If so, they're eligible for Hometown Heroes 2.0. We don't care where they work. They don't have to be working for a Florida-based employer. They are eligible just because they are a veteran, active military, or spouse of a deceased veteran. Now, if they're not a veteran, not a active military, not a spouse of a deceased veteran, we're in basket number 2. That's where they must work for a Florida-based employer. That's a brick and mortar office located in Florida is where they work out of, and they must work at least 35 hours a week. That means if someone is retired, they're not eligible because they're not working 35 hours a week, okay? Maybe somebody's on disability would not qualify. So that's the only bad part of the Hometown Heroes 2.0 is the retired. You may have a retired police officer. They would not qualify along that line. Self-employed buyers do qualify. There's some little steps that need to go over. Your loan officers will know what they are. Typically, they must have their company registered with sunbiz.org. They must provide recent 1099s if they're paid from corporations that way. But again, some additional documents or hurdles for your buyer to have to jump. But again, self-employed buyers are eligible. Going back to Hometown Heroes 2.0, so this past Tuesday, we had $2.8 million. I keep on wanting to say billion, $2.8 million in fallout funds were available. 162 loans were able to lock in, and that was 2 months after the final reservation of the first $100 million. So we've helped out. It's going to be around about 6,547 families will be helped out. That's less than Hometown Heroes 1.0 because of a change in Hometown Heroes 2.0 to 1.0. The change is we have now allowed from a maximum of 25,000 to a maximum of 35,000 in down payment assistance funds to be provided, and now a minimum of 10,000. So the entire time the down payment assistance provided has been 5% of the total mortgage amount, not 5% of the sales price, which is one of the biggest myths that are out there, but it's 5% of the total mortgage amount. So if your buyer's got an FHA mortgage, right? And the FHA mortgage has the upfront MIP premium. It's the FHA mortgage plus the premium times 5%. VA loan is the VA mortgage amount plus the VA funding fee times 5%. And then conventional loans and is going to be just the mortgage amount times 5%. Now, the minimum of $10,000 meant that in Hometown Heroes 1.0, if your borrower got a $150,000 mortgage, they only got $7,500. Now, under Hometown Heroes 2.0, they get $10,000. So that's why that average down payment assistance went from $14,800 to about $15,200. And I'm trying to go through my cheat sheets here to give you some more information. Again, I already mentioned that my estimation is these funds will be out by November 23rd or Thanksgiving. Just to let you know, if you are a real estate agent, we do teach a free 3-hour virtual CE class. And it's called Affordable Housing, what every real estate professional should know. If you go to our website, floridahousing.org, look for the teal green section square where it says Realtors. Click on that, and then you'll see the link for the class. We teach the class twice a month. We had a Halloween theme for October, and we have a Thanksgiving and Christmas theme. So we have 2 classes in November, 1 in December, and the 2024 classes have all been set up free. Who says you don't get anything good for free anymore? 3 hours CE credit. I know you all need that. The biggest problem with this class, well, first of all, we get 4.92 out of 5 stars. That's our review score that we get from all the attendees. The biggest problem, you got to listen to me for 3 hours. So if you can put up with that, you'll be perfectly fine. But I really wanted to come in. Crystal invited me, and the whole idea is to break up the myths about these type of programs. We talk about more myths in the affordable housing class, but I want to be available to answer any questions that you guys have.
So what is for first-time home buyers, what do they need to do to get ready? What does their credit need to look like? What does the DTI need to look like? I know what it is, but I just want you to share that.
Absolutely. So the minimum credit score is 640. If your buyer wants to purchase a mobile home and land or manufactured housing and land, they must have a 660 score. The maximum debt to income ratio we allow is 50% across the board. On manufactured mobile housing, it's 45%. Now, really quickly, as I go back to manufactured mobile housing, the unit must be 1994 or newer. Many of you remember Hurricane Andrew in 1992. That changed the building codes in Florida, so that's why 1994 is a key date. So Lakeview Loan Services will not purchase any manufactured housing or mobile home financing or housing built prior to 1994. And again, it must be existing mobile home and land and existing manufactured house and land. It can't be a new mobile home being delivered to the land. It must be existing. We do also allow, besides single family, condos, but the condo must be an approved condo complex for an FHA loan, approved condo complex for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Townhomes, yes. Okay. In addition, 2 to 4 unit properties. The borrower must have 5% down, in which 3% of their own funds, and the unit cannot be newer than 5 years. So single family, yes. Townhomes, yes. Condos, yes. Mobile home and land, yes. Existing manufactured housing and land, yes. Existing. And then 2 to 4 units, yes. And finally, new home construction, but I'm going to give you a very, very, very heavy probably not going to work unless you have a buyer who's purchasing a spec home that's almost done, because the loan officer cannot lock in the interest rate until when the certificate of occupancy is issued. These loans are going to be gone in 18 days. The lender has 60 days to have that loan purchased, which really the CO is going to have to be issued really probably within the next 30 days in order for them to get in. Is it possible? Yes. But if you're telling me that I have a buyer that just put a contract in and the house isn't going to be done until February, Hometown Heroes is not the program. We do have 3 other down payment assistance that are available that may be a better product. Again, your approved loan officers know this, but at least let you guys know that, yeah, it's possible, but probably not with Hometown Heroes. The next fully funded, Mark, when are we going to get the next $100 million? Ladies and gentlemen, the state legislature does not meet until January. They could meet in January and go, you know what? We're only going to give Hometown Heroes $50 million. The state budget starts on July 1st of 2024. So we won't know anything until January. Well, Mark, will the occupations be reinstated in January? I don't know. Will be still the open the buyer works for a Florida-based employer? I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with the state legislature, just like you've seen with the SHIP program, where you think that the funds are going to be fully committed, but then they're not, just based on what the political environment is, as well as what the state budget is going on at that particular time. So yes, we
Mhm.
anticipate additional funding, but as of right now, my answer is I don't know. There's not anybody here that knows the answer to the 2024 funds.
So another question for you. So the very first thing a buyer has to do is secure their pre-approval from their lender,
Yes.
their broker, their bank. I'm sure we've all seen the buyers out there who think they know that they're ready. They think that they have what they need, and then they look at homes prior to getting pre-approved. So the very first step as a first-time home buyer is, filling out that pre-approval. I'm happy to go over plans and goals. My phone number is at the bottom of the little banner. Set you up with a realtor in the areas that you're looking in. Now, just to recap, so in order for us to reserve the funds, and again, I'm just wanting to share this information out, definitely need a contract. Do we need a conditional approval?
No, it's your loan officer is going to go ahead and take that contract. Now, every lender does things a little bit differently because the lender knows they have to have the loan purchased within 60 days. Some of the lenders are locking in the rates right when they receive the contract. Others are wait until it gets to underwriting. We don't tell the lenders when to lock in the rate. It's just they cannot lock in the rate until they have a fully executed contract for purchase. Some of them will say, well, we'll take the contract, we'll do the appraisal. Every lender is kind of different as far as what they do. So I'm not going to tell you what a lender specifically does, because each lender does things differently, but that loan must be purchased within 60 days. They can get an extension on the loan for another 30 days, but it's a cost as a quarter point for that. If it's a delay by the buyer, that quarter point hit could be hitting the buyer. If it's a delay by the lender, typically the lender picks that up. So the conversation with your loan officer is, hey, I give you the contract today. When is it going to be locked in? But knowing that these funds are going to go fast, I suspect a lot of lenders are going to lock in like they would right when they receive the contract for purchase. But Crystal, great question to ask in that regards. The lender does receive a rate lock certificates that they can print off the system once it's locked in to confirm the rate has been locked and the funds have been reserved. The first also did Muscle mention the buyer must get the first mortgage with Florida House in order to get the down payment assistance. So the rate is set by Florida Housing. So the rates are the same. It does not matter which lender your buyer goes to. The rates are the same to all the lenders, to all the brokers, and so forth. But make sure that you're working with an approved loan officer, such as Crystal, right? Okay. And before you have your buyer spending time working with somebody who's not an approved lender or not, brokers must work with our approved wholesalers. We have about 10 different ones as far as that goes. But anyway, just make sure they are approved.
And so can you go into a little bit more detail for the real estate agents about what the 60 days means when we reserve a lock?
Yeah, even on a normal loan, even without down payment assistance, the rate lock's based on what the lender wants to do, 30 to 60-day rate lock. And so the loan must be purchased within the 60 days. Probably one of the biggest misconceptions about Florida housing is that, and I'm using the statement in comparison to a city or county program, we do not review any files at any particular time. Your loan officer signs into our system, locks in the interest rate, reserves the down payment assistance. They process the loan just like every other loan, order the appraisal, order the title, the flood, collect all the documents, and they turn that file over to the underwriter. The underwriter reviews the file to make sure all the documents support the application. If your buyer says they make $60,000, all the pay stubs, tax returns, W-2s support they make $60,000. The underwriter is going to give a clear to close. Right when they're about to give a clear to close, they sign into our system and certify the loan's going to closing. At any loan, whether your buyer's getting down payment assistance or not, once the underwriter gives a clear to close, they turn the file over to the closer. What does the closer do? The closer calls the title company, says, hey, we got a clear to close. Let's call the sellers, the selling agent, the buyer's agent. Let's schedule the closing for Friday at 4 o'clock. Then that closer balances the CD. You guys get a call and says, hey, here's your CD. Is your real estate commission correct? Everybody likes receiving that phone call, right? Or email. They balance the CD. Then the closer creates the mortgage documents, the first mortgage documents off their system. The closer signs into our system, creates the second mortgage, the down payment assistance documents. They go to closing. Then on Friday morning, the closer wires the funds to the title company for the first mortgage, and they also wire the funds for the down payment assistance, the second mortgage. The loan closes, the title company records the mortgage, the documents come back, the title company gives the lender all the closing documents back. That lender uploads the entire compliance file to the company that we've hired called eHouse and Plus. They do a compliance review. The loan's given a clear to purchase. The lender gets their first mortgage money back, the down payment assistance money back, and the profit from the hand of the loan. The reason I went into this long explanation is because at no time are we reviewing the file here at Florida Housing. So any loan officer that says, oh, we're waiting on Florida Housing to approve this, we don't touch the loan. In contrast, some of your city and some of your county down payment assistance programs do a file review. They may have 50-day turnaround times. And so you're looking at your contract for purchase needs to be adjusted accordingly. So during the CE class I teach, I tell all the real estate agents succinctly, it does not matter whether your buyer gets down payment assistance or not. At the time of pre-qual, you should be having a conversation with your loan officer asking about the turnaround times, because in our program, again, we don't look at it. So everybody knows on a USDA loan, are you going to close a USDA loan in 30 days? No, typically not, right? But the lender knows what their turnaround time is on their other programs. So, hey, thanks for this pre-qualification. I see it's an FHA mortgage. It's going through Florida Housing, the good Hometown Heroes. I know Florida Housing does not look at this loan. What is your company's turnaround time on FHA loan? And I'll tell you, compared to when I was doing the loans in the 90s and the 2000s, turnaround times have gone down dramatically. I think a lot of lenders praise around their turnaround times, but it's just a conversation you have at the time of the pre-qual. So that lender must close the loan. It must be delivered to purchase within 60 days. And it is a very, very tight time frame, which is why some lenders wait for the appraisal to come back in and so forth. But again, we do not dictate to the lender when to lock in the rate. They just need to do that internally with what's going on in their system.
Gotcha. So I wanted to put this out here. So quick example, FHA. Let's say we're working with a purchase price at $350,000. Our contract is $350,000. Buyers putting down 3.5% minimum, which on this contract we have 6% seller concession, which is right around $21,000. We're getting a gift of $5,000, which both equals out to be $26,000. With 5% on the loan amount, which the loan amount after the down payment is $337,750. Now on the Hometown Heroes, when you calculate 5%, it's $16,887.50. So now is it per 100 on the 100th? So would this be 16,000 even?
Yeah, but they round down for the loan amount is what they do.
Okay, so it'd be 16,000. So my question, and I had called you the other day about this. So our borrower is, getting this beautiful home at this great purchase price, and she's coming to closing with barely $4,500. And with having the assistance of 16,000 from, Hometown Heroes, can you explain what happens when we don't even need that much? What happens with the principal reduction?
Right. So the buyer cannot get in cash back. So if they're going to put their money in the earnest money, let me restate again, the buyer cannot get in cash back unless the money they have put into the earnest money deposit has been documented gift funds. So we allow for a principal reduction up to $1,000. So let's just say $2,700 is left over. The loan officer is going to reduce the mortgage amount by $2,500. They will recalculate the DPA amount, and then whatever is remaining, let's just say it's the $200, is applied as a principal reduction on the loan. So if you have a buyer that's putting money into the transaction as far as the earnest money deposit, you kind of want to have as minimal as possible, unless you know it's coming from documented gift funds, which they will then get but the $2,700 back. Otherwise, it just remains in the transaction. They don't lose the $2,700. It just stays in the transaction and the mortgage amount is reduced. So good question, Crystal.
So, can you explain to first-time home buyers what a principal reduction is?
A principal reduction is going to be a principal reduction on the mortgage amount that's recorded on the property, which is going to end up reducing the loan amount payment that they have to make. So instead of having a $100,000 mortgage, if we reduce the mortgage amount by $2,500, then it's going to be $97,500, and the payment will be based on 97.5 instead of the 100,000. If I go back to my memory, let's just say on $1,000, it's, on an interest rate of 6%, it was like a $6 payment. So a $12 payment reduction over, 30 years. And please, I guess the one thing we need to talk about the Hometown Heroes loan, because it is a loan. It is what we call in the industry a deferred down payment assistance. So when it comes to down payment assistance, there's 4 types. There's a gift in which you're given the money at close and it does not have to be paid back. There is a forgiveness where the money's given at closing and it's forgiven over a period of time, typically 5 years. There's the deferred, which is what Hometown Heroes is. So it is a 0% interest rate loan. We do record the lien against the property for 30 years. So for the 30 years, if there's an action, if the buyer sells, refinances, transfer the deed, or turns the property into a rental property, then that down payment assistance is due immediately. If none of that happens over the 30 years, at the end of the 30 years, the down payment assistance becomes a balloon payment. Now, what else has happened during that after the 30 years? Well, the first mortgage is paid off. So they can go out and get a home equity loan, home equity line of credit, pay off that down payment assistance. Now, the buyer is not required to make any payments whatsoever during that 30 years, but if they want to, they can. But if a buyer's in this phone call or listen to this, let me ask you a question. You have a 0% loan. You're not being charged any interest. Should you make extra payments on this 0% loan if you have a 20% credit card? No, you pay your payments on the 20% credit card. When that's paid off, do you have a car loan? You do. What's the interest rate? Oh, 4 or 5%. You always pay off your highest interest rate debt first, then start making payments on a 0% loan. So yes, it has to be paid back. It's not forgiven. It's not a gift. And the fourth down payment assistance product out there is a loan. Usually has a fixed rate, a term, and a payment. Our Florida Help is $10,000, a 3% rate, which sounds great now, a 15-year term, and the payment's $69.06 a month.
Yeah. So I tell my borrowers, if you leave the property, if you sell the property or refinance the property, that balance is due.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, ladies and gentlemen, if you had the down payment assistance or funds already, then you don't need this loan, right? This loan has helped 13,000 families in the last 2 years purchase a home, and it's a 0% interest rate loan. If you got $15,000 today, in 30 years you had to pay it off, the payoff is $15,000. You will never pay a penny of interest. And other than a family member, who's going to give you a gift like that?
Nobody.
Right. What's amazing is, I won't talk too much about rates because I know there's some disclosures and stuff we have to say. But what I will say is that I feel like the Hometown Heroes has attractive rates than what some of the banks are telling, with points and different things.
Yeah, even before Hometown Heroes, we had a program called Salute Our Soldiers that were for military. And the stance for Florida Housing is we do not want to make any money on these loans. These loans are priced as close to 0% profit from Florida Housing as possible. Now, we don't get 0%. Some days it's like 0.015. So we're making 15 cents on $1,000, whatever it may be. So the pricing is competitive that way. And you're correct. We have had a lot of loan officers say, hey, the rates are better than what I can offer. And again, that's the ideal of what we're trying to do with this program.
That's amazing. So there's definitely there's so many benefits. I feel like out of all the, programs that are out there, I feel like this is my top choice. If the buyers can qualify for it. And, even with the income limits, I mean, the income limits are not, they're not very small. They're you
They're
can
large.
make a good living and still get this assistance.
Yeah, a lot of real estate agents and even loan officers are not familiar with these programs, and that's the reason. Like I'm on now, and I got another class here in a couple minutes. Is
Okay.
essentially we have bond loans and we have non-bond loans. We call our TBA product. On a bond
Yep.
loan, we have to count the income of everybody 18 years or older who's going to move in the house. And our non-bond loan product, which Hometown Heroes is our non-bond TBA product. On Hometown Heroes, we go up to 150% of the area median income. The flexibility of the TBA, the non-bond product, is that the loan officer can remove a buyer off the application. And so we only look at the income of the application. Let's just say the income limit's $130,000. We have a husband and wife. They make $130,000 and a penny. I'm sorry. If they're a penny over, they do not qualify, but Crystal can remove the husband off the application. Let's just say the husband makes a penny. Now the wife's income's $130,000, the application's $130,000. They are at or below the income limits. They now qualify for down payment assistance. More buyers qualify for down payment assistance than most people think.
Sorry about that noise.
No, it's okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Mark?
I think he kind of answered everything that I was like thinking about asking. Like you went through it, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, he answered that question. He answered that question.
Yeah. So on under my name there, you see my email address. Below there is DPA for down payment assistance at floridahousing.org. Succinctly, you're not in this alone, okay? We get paid to answer questions. We're open Monday, Friday from 9 to 5. Send me an email, send an email to the DPA group. That DPA group goes to all of the entire single family department team. Whoever's available is going to respond back to you. But if you're a real estate agent and you're like, I'm not sure, or my loan officer told me this, but I'm not sure, just call. We'll give you a response back in writing. You can take it back. The loan officers send us emails in because they want to beat up their underwriter because the underwriter says it's this, but the guideline says it's this. I'm like, stop, underwriter, stop. It says this. We don't need tax returns on our non-bond products. The bond product, yes, but a TBA product, non-bond, don't. So we have those conversations all day long. But honestly, I'm a brother from another mother here in Tallahassee, and if you have a question, a comment, hysterical observation, give me a call. Do not let these products scare you, whether it's the city, the county, or state. I tell everybody, if this goofy-looking guy can figure it out, you can too. Just ask the questions till the light bulbs go off.
Yes, no, it's honestly at TLC Lending Concepts, it's been a pleasure working with you guys. Our ops team they have it down packed. I mean, we get a game plan, and if we know that there's going to be funds every other Tuesday and we always reserve, we never miss out. So we've got a great team over here. We do have a certain team that works just on these reservations. So we're excited about it. Can you just recap on when these funds are going to be available? Because right now they were every other Tuesday.
10 o'clock, November 6th. That's Monday, November 6th. I'm sorry, it's been a long week. November 6th at 10 a.m., the loan officers can start reserving the rates. And I think on July 3rd, the first day we had available, we had out of the 100 million, we had $15 million reserved that day. We have not had any issues with a system crashing or anything else along that line. But 10 a.m., get your favorite cup of coffee, sit next to your favorite loan officer, and watch them hit submit.
Oh, yeah. And so it's going to be $36 million available?
$36 million.
Amazing.
And this money's going to go faster than Taylor Swift concert tickets.
She's pretty popular right now.
Yeah. Well,
She's very popular.
We'll see on Monday.
Thank you guys so much. I hope, this brought a lot of, the source to you guys and,
super
kind of cleared
helpful.
out some of the rumors out there. So.
Yep. And I hope to see you in one of my CE classes.
I jotted it down.
So did I.
Crystal,
I wrote down your emails and everything. I'm like, I'm going to email this
Crystal, it's been an honor to be here. And ladies and gentlemen, Crystal asks great questions, very thoughtful questions when she calls in, and she's passionate about this program. So she's done a great job, in my opinion.
Thank you so much,
I
Mark.
agree.
Thank you so much.
Have a
You're
great
welcome.
day, everybody.
You take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.